on your tables. Did you have any thoughts about them? Daniel, tell me what you put down.
Which one?
Number 1.
Oh, Anne. Well, Georgina will ignore it. I'll smack it.
Okay.
I do hand off.
Okay. The whole story actually is that the girl was trying to stop the boy next to her from throwing the rubber.
Yeah.
Okay, what the teacher saw was just out of the corner of her eye something being thrown. But that was the whole story. Okay. Second one. Kuldeep. Di, what did you put?
Georgina put other punishment. I put I'd ignore it.
Okay. Yeah, there's always a story behind these things, isn't there? How do you feel when you've overslept and got to work late after lots of rush and irritation at home? This is what had happened to Kuldeep. On top of that, he was told off for being late, and the boy he thumped had laughed at him and poked him after he had been told off. So, you know, it was one of those, was it his fault completely? Third one, Wendy.
Georgina put other punishment. I put I'd ignore or smack.
Okay. Yeah.
Ignore.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Children love playing with words, don't they? And sometimes they pick up words and they don't know what they mean. So that's just having that little bit of thought about how do we handle it. I don't know if there's any right or wrong answer with that one. And sometimes children will experiment with bad language and see what reaction they will get. Rachel.
Georgina put she'd ignore it. I put other punishment. I'd push her in the water anyway.
Okay. The actual fact was... Pardon?
I put keep in.
Okay. The actual fact was she just started her periods. Well done, Georgina. Yeah, so that needed handling carefully, didn't it? And she felt embarrassed. Number 5, 11. So Alan, sorry.
Georgina put other punishment. I put a smack.
Okay. Okay. Here again, there's another story behind it all. Alan's mum walked out 3 weeks ago and he hasn't seen her since, and he loved her. And so he's sort of overreacting with things, and he had an outburst. And that actually says, you know, if a child has something happening at home, it's as well to tell the teacher so they're aware if the child seems out of sorts. John and Kate. Stealing sweets from a coat pocket of another. What did you say about that one? You didn't get that far. Yep. Just out of interest, have all of us stolen something at some time? I can remember taking money out of my mum's purse. Children do get tempted. But this was Kate's first offence. So a little bit of a warning, and not to do it again, but John often does it, so it needs a different approach. Okay, well done. Makes you think, doesn't it? Who'd be a teacher? Okay, so our subject today is 2 wisdoms. And it's James again. And this is how the Bible reads. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show it by his good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbour bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, Do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, of the devil. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace raise a harvest of righteousness. This is quite a tough passage. Not one I would have chosen to do, thank you, Sarah, because it hits hard. It talks about our motives. Why do we do things? And James, as we've already learnt, is very practical. He puts the theory of Christianity into how we do it. And this is the way we interact with each other. And I was quite, touched, well, no more than touched, challenged by what I read here indeed. Life experience gives us some wisdom, doesn't it? But a tiny little child doesn't know that that attractive red flame is dangerous, and you have to teach them, don't you? And that's just basic stuff, as it were. On the right page. So it asks the question, who is wise and understanding among you? Me, I'm not. Okay. But I share what I read in the Bible here. And the difference is shown between the person who is only interested in promoting themselves and the person who has the best interests of other people at heart. So we have all sorts of motives for helping people, don't we? Will it make me look good? I did this, and I did that, and I did the other. That's all about me. This tells us that the motives for doing something to help other people is their best interests, and it doesn't matter whether you help them or not. People don't need to know that. The whole point is that you have helped somebody else with the wisdom that God has given you. So this is very clear. Wisdom comes from humility. It's not promoting me, it's the other person. But in our hearts, sometimes we have wrong motives, don't we? We're jealous of somebody. I can do better than them, so I'll do this. Green with jealousy is quite something, isn't it? It's a good colour. And it all comes from earthly. It comes from ourselves. We're not here to big ourselves up. I'm having trouble seeing, sorry. Cutting words here, really laying bare our reasons and our motives. And you know, the Bible tells us that our hearts are desperate and deceitful and can be quite wicked. And sometimes our motives on the outside look good, but if they come from just me and promoting me, that's not good. If underneath I am storing up envy and jealousy, selfish ambition, seeking my own good at the expense of another's comfort, that's not right. Sometimes we want to prove we're better than anybody else. I don't do that. But actually I do other things. But what the other person does is always worse and bigger than what I do. That kind of wisdom, says James, comes from me. It comes from the earth. It's even caused by a desire to promote me above others, and it can come from the devil, it says. You know, the devil is very deceitful. He loves to just convince us that what we're doing is right. He comes as an angel of light, and he's not good. So that's what it says here about disorder and every evil practice. Envy, selfish ambition, earthly, unspiritual. But you know, there's a thought here. In the Bible, it says that Jesus, as a lad, as he grew up, he grew in wisdom and knowledge. Even Jesus had to gain wisdom as he got older. It's a thought, isn't it? We want our children to grow up with common sense and good practice and going the right way. We have to teach them. Jesus' parents had to teach him. We have to teach our children. It's a thought. But of course, Jesus to us now is the source of all wisdom. You can't put a wise head on baby shoulders, can you? And sometimes I get a bit upset when I see parents chastising their children for a child who's just done something babyish, because they haven't yet learnt that that's not the way to go. That's not the right way to do things. We feed children good food, but do we teach them wise ways? Do we teach them common sense? I want to read a story or tell you a story. It's actually from the Bible. If you know this story, just don't shout out, please. It's about somebody who had a very tricky situation. He was a king, and he'd asked God for wisdom rather than money and power, and God had given him wisdom. So just to test it out, the day after this happened, God said to him, I'll give you wisdom, but because you haven't asked for these other things, I'll give you power and wealth as well. The very next day, 2 prostitutes came to him. And one of them said to him, Master, this woman and I live in the same house. While we were living together, I had a baby. 3 days after I gave birth, this other woman, also had a baby. We were alone in the house, there was nobody else. The infant son of the other woman died one night when she rolled over him in her sleep. And she got up in the middle of the night and took my son and put it next to her and put her dead son next to me. When I got up in the morning to nurse my son, here was this dead baby. But when I looked at him in the morning light, I saw immediately that he wasn't my child. Not so, said the other woman. The living one's mine, the dead one's yours. The first woman said, oh no, your son's the dead one, mine's the living one. And they went backwards and forwards arguing about who the live son belonged to. And the king said, what are we to do? What would you do? If you know the story, don't say. What would you do faced with that situation between 2 women, each swearing that this son, this live baby, was theirs? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Split the baby in half.
Split the baby in half. You're nearly there, Di. After a moment, the king said, bring me a sword. They brought the sword to the king. Then he said, cut the living baby in 2. Give half to one and half to the other. The real mother of the living baby was overcome with emotion for her son and said, oh no, master, give her the whole baby alive. Don't kill him. But the other one said, if I can't have him, she can't have him. Cut away. And the king gave his decision. Give the living baby to the first woman. Nobody is going to kill the baby. She is the real mother. It's a wonderful story, isn't it? Because the king was able to get to the heart of the motives of the women. And the woman whose baby was still alive wanted that baby to stay alive, whatever. No way was she going to have it cut in half. Whereas the other woman who's died said, oh, cut it in half, I haven't got a son, she can't have one either. So that was a bit of very, very godly wisdom, wasn't it? A tough one as well. So what sort of wisdom does God want to give us? And it comes from him, it doesn't come from our hearts, it comes from above. And actually at the beginning of James it says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, and he will give it freely. We do need wisdom in certain situations, don't we? If you're listening to somebody who's sharing a tricky problem, we need wisdom. So it says, the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure. I thought about that. I thought, wonder what sort of pure that is. And then I thought, maybe it's impartial. Okay, this is a problem here. What's the best here? Let's make it impartial. And then it's peace-loving. You want a resolution where people are happy, as far as possible. Non-biased wisdom. Peace-loving. Something that doesn't stir up, doesn't seek to make a way. It makes a way that all can agree and feel good about to some level. Considerate. That means others first. Submissive. That's a tough one. I want a solution as long as it goes my way. That's not what submissive is. Submissive means giving way. Sometimes maybe saying, I want the best for them, even if it makes things worse for me. Full of mercy and good fruit. I thought about this, thought, Jesus Christ died for me. He's accepted me with all my wrong. He's shown me mercy. Surely he would like me to show mercy to other people. Impartial and sincere. It's genuine, doesn't it? I have the greatest respect for peacemakers, don't you? We see it on the international scene. People who try and get countries to stop warring. And we see plenty of that in our world at the moment. They've got lots of diplomacy and they try and get some to give concessions and others to give concessions and to come together. And incidentally, the wars that go on are actually just really because of people's selfish ambition, their desires for comeuppance. We see that on the world scene, we see it in families. And people in families who perhaps haven't spoken for many years. Our family's at war with so-and-so, we don't ever talk to them. And if you trace it back, there's usually just one little insult that's been taken, an offence that's been taken, and it's magnified and magnified, and year after year after year, it gets bigger and bigger, and people don't talk. And God's wisdom is loving and kind, and wants to bring people together. So we have in the Bible an example of a wise man. We've mentioned Solomon and the story of the two women who came to him. Job was a wise man. He wrote a whole book in the Bible full of wise sayings. You might look at it and think, this isn't very interesting. But we get things from that like, if you don't get work, you don't eat. It's not rocket science. If you don't earn your money, you don't get pennies to eat. What you sow, you will reap. And I bet your parents might have said to you at that time, you sow as a child the wrong things, and as you grow older, it comes back on you. There's lots of wise sayings there. But one of the things Job said was, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And that actually says it all in many ways. Have God right in the centre of your life, and he's the source of wisdom, and he will help you to make right decisions all through. Sometimes the decisions and the wisdom that we have is different from what we see around us. Current wisdom says, I am who I think I am, or I am who I want to be. That's not God's wisdom. God's wisdom says, you're made in my image, male or female. You're precious to me, and I love you. You matter. You're not just anybody or who you think you are. I am what I've made you, and I've got plans and purposes for you. Says you are my child if you belong to me, and you are precious. So, there we go. We've got peacemakers who sow in peace, raise a harvest of righteousness. There's results from peacemaking. Jesus himself is the ultimate peace giver. We'll have our last song and then just a short prayer, please, Sarah.